Yo, what's good, everybody? Let a game pod back at it. I'm Ray,
I'm Marco.
and yeah, bro. Today we're gonna talk about a lot of things. Firstly, we're gonna talk about Game 5 of the NBA Finals. I feel like that was a really great game. Also, we're gonna highlight our thoughts kind of on the Desmond Bane trade, and then on top of that, sorry, we're talking about the Sixers. So yeah, bro, it's I'm really excited. Marco, kind of like, what were your reactions on Game 5? What were some of your takeaways?
Um, First of all, good game. It felt close the whole way through, even though the Thunder started to pull away at the end.
Yeah,
Um, the Tyrese Halliburton injury kind of put like a damper on my night, if I'm being honest with you, because
I get that,
just
bro.
seeing him go down like with no contact in the second quarter, and then like seeing everybody's reaction after he's had like no doubt he had a horrible game last night, but he's had such a fantastic playoff run that I just don't feel it's indicative of him as a
I agree.
player based
Yeah,
on what I've seen all season and in the playoffs. So it's a shame for me to see so many people try to kick him when he's down right now. And in a way that felt almost not like a true analysis of the game, but in a way where it's like they had these like pre-thought opinions of him and then just like sort of are going to use this as like confirmation bias to be like, oh, this guy against one of like the greatest defenses I've ever seen like struggled while he had like an obvious injury. And the thing that really made me upset was Bob Marks. He made some like really insightful comments during the halftime show,
yeah,
and then Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith, who are like two of the more gimmicky guys in sports media, kind of just like shut him down and like I don't know. His soft comments didn't make sense to me because he was still playing. Like it wasn't like he missed the time. Like he didn't like it wasn't really an excuse. Like they went and checked him out and he came back in the game.
yeah.
I want to know what you think, but the player's always going to play. I was kind of disappointed that Rick Carlisle didn't sit him down at a certain point, especially when TJ McConnell had it going and Halliburton was obviously like
Yeah,
struggling.
yeah. So like kind of like similar to your point, I'm about to bring this stat up. According to StatMuse right now, Halliburton in the playoffs has been averaging 18.6 points, 9.3 assists, and 5.8 rebounds per game through 20 games. Um, and I feel like because it's the playoffs, that's very impressive. Like you said, definitely I'm sad that Halliburton is injured right now. I hope that he can recover in time for game 6 because I know they're gonna need him. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel like this was the game where people tried to use that injury as, how NBA Twitter always is. They try to pile, whatever they can say on a guy when he's down. And I feel like just based on the run that he's had this past year, it's disrespectful, honestly. He's done so much for the game, I think specifically this year. And even like I'm not the biggest Halliburton fan, but you got to respect what he's doing for not only Indiana but just basketball culture as a whole. So, like I said, I hope he can get back and recover. I do think it's going to be hard because it's only what like a 3 day max wait. Um, because when do they play again?
It's Thursday. They play Thursday, then Sunday again. So
Okay,
no, they
okay.
only have one
So
day of rest, sadly. Well, no, 2 days of rest. Never mind.
yeah, so I mean, I obviously I hope he can get some type of recovery. But I know it's gonna be hard for game 6. Other than Halliburton, you gotta give credit to Shea, gotta really give credit to J-Dub because he did exactly what I was expecting him to, well, not expecting, but I challenged him to basically continue to have that scorer's mentality, and I felt like last game he was basically unguardable, bro. Like anything he did, he was getting to his spots, he was dunking with furiosity, bro. Even taking like hard hits, and he was taking hard hits the previous game as well. So like just the fact that he's able to still be out there and compete at a really high level is really impressive, and that says a lot to his Mamba mentality. Other takeaways, honestly, even though Indiana lost, you can't hang your head that deeply, or you can't hang your head OD, especially when your best player had like 4 points. And they lost by like what, 15? Like
Lost
somewhere
by
around,
11.
yeah, some like
They only scored 109, bro. Held them below 110.
yeah, so like losing, I feel like losing down by 10 with your best player only scoring 4 points, that's something that could be a positive at some point. And I think honestly, to your point, TJ McConnell probably should have been in that game, and they probably should have had Tyrese just wait for game six. Because that, I like we said, we were talking yesterday, like we just don't want that to end up like we don't want him to be the next KD in a sense of like him tearing his Achilles or anything like that. We just want to make sure he's good. I guess what were the takeaways that you had from the Thunder? Excuse me, bro.
Thought they shot the ball really well. I was really impressed with that. Case and Wallace had three threes. I believe they were all in the first half. If my memory serves me correct. Lou Dort also had three threes, and Aaron Wiggins had four threes, which um, I thought that was really great to see from all of them. Usually hear that the role players play better at home, and I thought that they proved that statement correct today.
Yeah,
Chet also hit a three. It was the first quarter, and it was the first one he took. I feel like he's just so close, bro. Like I know he didn't have a fantastic offensive game yesterday, and like a lot of it was just like missing easy looks. I really feel like next season he's just gonna come back, and we're just gonna be blown away with how good he is. Because defensively, he's already one of the best players in the league. I feel like the offense is just so close, in my opinion. And for the Pacers, I wanted to give a shout out to um Pascal Siakam. I
yeah,
thought that he was fantastic, especially in the fourth quarter last night. It felt like he like single handedly brought them back. I don't think he missed a
literally.
shot. He had like 14 points. I think he was 5 for 5 and hit two threes. So he just was amazing in the fourth quarter, kind of like the reverse of game four, where he had a really good 3 quarters and then was kind of silent in the fourth quarter. This one he was pretty quiet 3 quarters and then just a monster fourth quarter to help them like claw their way back. They still ended up losing, but wasn't his fault. He played a great
Yeah,
game.
I'm looking at his stats right now. Somehow he finished with a -5, but he finished well. He had 6 turnovers, so that's probably why.
He
Um,
did turn the ball over a lot. That's
yeah,
true.
but he had 28 points, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 5 assists, 6 rebounds.
Yeah, it's tough though, because once you start
Yeah,
using like him as
minus
the
15.
primary initiator, because like Halliburton was being used more as a decoy, like you kind of do expect him to turn the ball over a little bit more because he's not like a fantastic passer and he's not really the most careful with the ball. So all you can really ask for him is like score efficiently. The turnovers is going to happen when he's the primary creator. I was still really impressed with his game. Like 6 turnovers, way more than we would like from him, but you know it is what it is. They needed somebody to go out there, and sometimes you just need somebody to get a bucket, and that's what he did last night. Um, I don't know. It's just a shame for me that I Halliburton really turned me around as a fan this year because I really was the guy who was lower on him, and then it was kind of just sad for me to see like him not even really be able to put up a fight.
Yeah,
And
it was definitely like
out,
it was crazy kind of watching him play because you could tell just throughout the game he was injured. He didn't even look to score first, and he didn't even do like
yeah,
what Brent was saying with that little hezzy step back type three shot. He doesn't even try to, or he didn't even try to attempt it in that game. I felt like he was more just trying to create separation just to give like a little pass um for other guys, which I understand, but it was really hard to watch. Because you
he
could
was
tell
getting the switches he
like
liked too. That's the thing. He was getting the switches on the like Chet that he usually likes to like go to the hezzy step back.
yeah.
Um, and he was just getting he couldn't even create space. It was kind of sad. He definitely pump faked a couple of threes that I thought he should have taken, but I don't know. At that point, you just start getting in your head
Yeah.
with the with the calf, I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, the good thing is they're going back to Indy game 6. Honestly, bro, like I feel like Indy got you can never really count them out, man. So I feel like they're gonna have something up their sleeve. I know originally we said OKC in 6. I want to say OKC in 7, bro. Like low key. I feel like Indiana's not gonna go down easily in the game 6, especially after this loss.
If I had seen more from Halliburton in Game 5, I would probably agree, but I think I'm going to stick with 6.
I got you. I
I'm
mean,
being honest.
we're gonna see, bro. We'll see.
I hope we get 7 though. I've been rooting for the Thunder like low key this whole time just because like I'm a nerd and I want to see like the team that
Yeah,
was historically great like finish the job. That would be cool
yeah,
for me. But I do like more than anything I do in 7. So I feel like I'll probably be leaning into Pacers game 6, even though it would be hard for me to imagine going into this series. I don't think they could have a lower 3 point volume than the Thunder, which they did in this game. And the Thunder had shot a higher percentage. They shot 43.8% to the Pacers 36.7%, and they took two more attempts.
Yeah,
Indiana's such a good shooting team, and the Thunder is so inconsistent that I would expect Indiana to shoot the ball better. Also, Indiana turned the ball over 22 times, which, when you take
yeah,
into account that Tyrese Halliburton was being used more as a decoy, and he's such like an efficient primary initiator that doesn't turn the ball over. I think that makes a lot of sense. When you're going to other guys to be the primary initiator of your offense who aren't as much used to it, you're going to turn the ball over more. I think they got to look to limit turnovers. I don't know if that's going to TJ McConnell early in the game if Halliburton just doesn't have it, or if it's just like sticking with Halliburton as the primary initiator, even though he's not 100%. I think they got to make an adjustment there because you're not going to turn the ball over double the amount of what the Thunder did and come away with the win there. So
yeah. No, I
I
get
think you got to look to shoot the ball more and just play more efficiently as a whole. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think, in order for me to see the Pacers like somehow get a victory next game, they can't let OKC dictate the pace. Because again, like similarly to game two, it just felt like they were just kind of passing that AAU, or not AAU style, but just scared of trying to go in and just trying to move the ball around. Other than Pascal Siakam, I think Siakam was really that guy who was trying to break that. And again, like credit to him, he's an NBA champion, so he knows what he's doing. But yeah, I think just out the gate, man, they just can't let OKC dictate that game. And I think what they did really well in game four was that they made OKC play their game up until that last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, you know. So
Yeah.
I think just really honing down on the home crowd energy. Hopefully the role players just step up, and they just got to execute that pace plan, and I think they can win. But yeah, so other than the NBA finals, we learned that the Orlando Magic traded or made a huge trade. The Memphis Grizzlies traded Desmond Bane to Orlando for KCP, or as he's more commonly known, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, Cole Anthony, and four unprotected first round picks, and one first round pick swap. Now, I've seen a lot of different takes on the trade. I honestly think it's a win-win trade. I wanted to see what your perspective was, and why you think it was either a win-win, a win-lose, or a lose-lose. You know,
I like it a lot for both teams. I agree. Like at the time of the trade, it does feel like a win-win. Like I feel like most trades we say that as like just go to go really badly for one side. Like maybe
yeah,
none of those picks hit, or maybe Desmond Bane just like doesn't work out there. But like yeah, at the time of the trade, it does feel like a win-win to me. When you really look at the four picks, like four unprotected first, it sounds like a lot. But the one unprotected first is the 16th overall pick in the draft. We know that. Which this draft, like I don't know, you might get a good role player. It's not like this is the deepest draft of all time where you're really gonna get
yeah,
like a franchise changing player there. Like obviously the league's built on outliers, so you never know. Maybe they do draft an outlier development prospect at 16 and he does become some stud, but
yeah,
like highly unlikely. Next year's pick is the worst between the Suns and the Wizards, so it's hard for me to imagine both of them get extremely lucky in the lottery. Like, I would think both of them are most likely in the lottery, Wizards especially. But yeah, I think the Suns probably are a lottery team, so I think they probably lose in the play-in or don't make the play-in.
mm,
But it's hard for me to imagine they both get extremely lucky. So I would think that pick is like toward the end of the lottery, like from like 10 to 14. So that's not a very valuable pick, even though it is a good draft and they could get a good player. And
mm,
then the Magic are just betting on themselves with the 28 and 30 and the 2029 swap. Like you would hope that the 2029 swap doesn't even convey because you would hope that the other team is worse than you. And you should, like, if this core does play well, the 2028 and the 2030 pick should be in the 20s or 30s. So I kind of like it. You're betting on yourself. And the Grizzlies, that is a haul for Desmond Bane. I think Desmond Bane is better than some All-Star players out there. I'm very high on Desmond Bane. I
yeah.
think that's my main takeaway, bro, is I think Desmond Bane is a lot better than most fans think he is
I
because I
agree.
think he's
I
so
agree.
efficient and is so well rounded. And I think he fits the team perfectly. They have some of the worst spacing in the league, and Paolo Banchero is one of the best rim scorers in the league, but he doesn't get there as much as you would like him to. He settles for the mid range a lot, and I'm guessing with this trade, the Magic think that most of it is due to spacing and not mentality.
Yeah,
And I think that's yet to be seen because they do have some of the worst spacing. I think Paolo's mentality to get to the rim does need a little bit of work, but I really like his game, and I do think he could be one of the best players in the league. So I think they're taking a bet on their core, and I think they're taking a bet on themselves. I can never hate on that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, similarly to you, I saw basically like that the outrage that all the NBA fans had. So I was just like, you know what? Let me just sleep on it. I was feeling a little sick. So like some things that I kind of took away, right? Um, One, the Magic, they get a 3-point shooter who can play defense while being a great third option. And I think a lot of people they don't understand that with Desmond Bane. He's proven that he's a great third option with John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. He's proven that he can be a second option too at times when John Morant is out. And he's a really good shooter, which, like you said before, the Magic really needed. And even though they got rid of KCP. I understand why they got rid of KCP. He didn't do what they needed him to do in the playoffs against the Celtics. And I'm assuming they were like, okay, Paolo and Franz can't be the only ones to initiate this offense. We need another player. Um, and Cole Anthony's value, I think, was at its highest that it's ever been because he played as hard as he did against the Celtics. Um, excuse me. So I mean, ultimately, I think from the Magic side, like you said, they're betting on themselves. It really shows that they're committing to this new future. And I think this is kind of like a Magic team that I haven't really seen be competitive in a long time because a lot of the teams that we saw growing up, they would always be the 8 seed or the 7 seed, and it'd be like Nikola Vucevic in company. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So like it's really interesting now to see that the Magic are like, no, we're gonna try to compete for a championship. And I remember I saw a video of I forget who it was, but they said basically like Indiana making the finals is kind of like the butterfly effect of now East teams really trying to compete because they see that it's wide open.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, from the Magic standpoint, I honestly like I really love the trade because this is something that they haven't done in like a long time. Um, and it's a big swing, and I feel like Paolo can honestly respond to that because he's only going to get better. And I feel like he's definitely an underrated playmaker as well. So him with Desmond Bane, I think is going to go crazy. And even like because Franz is a playmaker too. So Franz, excuse me, with Desmond Bane, I feel like is going to go crazy as well. And on the Grizzlies side of things, you get a champion in KCP, a defender in KCP as well. And then also you got Cole Anthony, who's a great defensive player. Actually, I wanted to go back to Orlando one more time because we also
mhm,
forgot to mention Jalen Suggs. He was out this playoffs, but I feel like he's going to be another guy that can match perfectly with Desmond Bane, because they're both just defensive guards. But I think Jalen Suggs is just way more of a like a defensive minded guard to where Desmond Bane can get his own type of shine. So I'm really excited to see that whole roster just well, I'm not gonna be excited when they play us because I don't think I don't
yeah.
know what we're gonna do, but it's gonna be interesting to see their roster next year. I think they're gonna be something special, honestly, with that trade. So back to what I was saying about the Grizzlies. I love that they got a veteran leader. I love that they got future picks. And I love that they're still trying to commit to John Morant because there was a lot of speculation on whether he would get traded because of that whole Luca thing. So it's really good to see that the Grizzlies are embracing Ja and Jaren, and they're like, no, we want to continue building this culture that we have in Memphis because they've built something special there. I just feel like they need to find their identity again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought you made some really nice points. I kind of overlooked Cole Anthony and KCP, and my part of that is because I think like both of their years last year weren't the finest years of their career. I think Cole Anthony was had a took a step back from the year previous, and
I understand. Yeah.
KCP didn't return the value that you would have thought he did after the contract. So I really don't feel as though the Magic like really took a hit in their depth because I think it would have been harder for Cole Anthony to like see as much rotational minutes as you would like him to next year. And I think you kind of just have Desmond Bane just coming in and replacing KCP's role as like a guy who like fits the role a little bit better. And I do like what you said about Desmond Bane. I do think he's an underrated defender. I think he's like a very neutral defender in the league, and people like seem to think he's like a bad defender, and I don't think that's true at all. I think he does provide a lot of positive impact defensively,
Mm.
um, that you wouldn't expect. And I think when a team that is as good defensively as the Magic, I think that maybe he'll be a even better defender than he was last year. And I think he could return good defensive value. I saw it being compared to the Mikal Bridges trade a lot, and I wanted to get your
Yeah.
opinion because they gave up less than the Knicks did for Mikal, And also, Desmond Bane has 4 years left on his deal. Mikel only had two.
Yeah,
Mikel was making less money because Desmond Bane was on, I believe it was a rookie max extension, and Mikel was only making 22 mil a year. So Bane will have a higher cap hit than
yeah,
Mikel did, but he does have 2 more years left on the contract. You don't have to pay him. Mikel's probably gonna make a lot of money and have a high cap hit on his next thing.
yeah, yeah.
But at the time of the trade, I think Bane is a better defender than Mikel. I think he's a better offensive player than Mikel in terms of efficiency and playmaking and just like connectivity. So that's why I'm really like it for the Magic because I think like it's kind of nodded down in my mind that Bane's a better player than Mikel. I think Bane like if I was going to like give him a comp to like somebody who I think is as good as him with like a higher usage, I think he's like as good if not better than Tyler Hero. If I'm being honest, and
I get.
Tyler Hero was a guy who
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
as high
yeah,
on
yeah.
this year. He Tyler Hero proved me wrong this year, and I don't even know if he like proved me wrong or if he just took a step up. He was so fantastic this year. I think Desmond Bane is like as good as him. So like that's what I see, and I think most fans probably wouldn't agree with that. But I think he's like that good of a player. Not like the same play style, obviously, but I think he's that good. And I don't think Mikal Bridges was like really a star level guy. I think he was like a really good role player. And then like at the Nets, he took a lot of shots and his like impact kind of dropped because like he didn't provide the same defensive value, even though like because like he was taxed so much offensively. But I
Yeah,
don't even
yeah,
think
yeah.
he got the defensive value back this year. So I don't know. I'm kind of just looking at him like they got a better player on a longer term deal than the Knicks did and gave up less. So I don't know. I was wondering what you thought though, like between the McHale and being
Um,
compared.
it's kind of crazy, like because like I want to low key say that Mikal is a better defender just because of like who he's going against. Um, but I also understand the argument with Bane. I don't think Mikal is better than Bane offensively though. I think that's where Bane definitely is better than him at. Or offense is definitely where Bane I think outshines Mikal. But I think defensively it's hard because Mikel's long. He's a long defender. He's like you said, a really good role player. And like something tells me that even though the Knicks made that trade, it was like I feel like just based on this year alone, like there's more to capitalize on that trade. I feel like that trade we're not gonna fully understand it until like something similar to like that Harden trade with the Sixers. Like we're not gonna understand the full effects of it until a couple years later. I feel like,
Oh
um,
yeah, when the picks convey, I agree. I agree. I
yeah,
wasn't
like
shitting on the McHale trade. I was just saying like, yeah,
no, I didn't get that from you. But like it's definitely it's a hard trade to compare because we don't know what the ceiling of both teams are just yet. Because I feel like honestly, like if you hire the right coach for the Knicks, like your ceiling is probably gonna be higher than what you think it is because I think the East is wide open right now, bro. They can easily go back if they want to. They know how to get there. They just got to figure out how to beat Indiana. I guess like that's kind of like their main issue. Um but with Orlando, like Orlando's such a I feel like now Orlando has become an X factor, honestly, because you just don't know like we don't know necessarily what that trio can do yet, but that trio sounds scary. And we didn't even talk about Jalen Suggs. So like we didn't even talk about, they got Jonathan Isaac off the bench. Um
Anthony Black showed more
yeah,
decent
like
last year.
yeah, there's a lot of like I feel like in terms of trades, and it might be recency bias, the Orlando Magic trade I feel like is the better out of the two. Um, but it's also because I feel like the ceiling is more limitless than the Knicks. So,
Yeah, I agree.
that's kind of like my view on it, but we'll see how it conveys. I don't know if the Knicks will eventually win that championship or the Magic will win a championship before them, but like it'll be interesting to see, bro. Um, so yeah, like that's kind of how I think about it, honestly. And I know you were talking about Chet and Paolo. I was wondering if you could kind of like go further into that.
Yeah, but before I get into that, I did want to say
Got
I
you.
think Malik Beasley's season is a large part of why this trade happened because Cade, very similar like trajectory to Paolo Banchero. Like he's not as good of a rim scorer, but he's a way more efficient mid range scorer. But both of them
Yeah.
like thrive getting to the rim and like creating for like other people, in my opinion. And I think seeing like the leap Cade took with like a real shooter next to him, I think the Orlando Magic
Yeah.
offense saw that and we're like, this will really open up the game for Paolo as well. So I want to give him
I
elite
agree. I
easily
agree.
as powers. But in terms of Chet and Paolo, a recent conversation on Twitter has been it's a kind of a two-part conversation. It's like which player of the two is better right now between them because they went 1 and 2 in their draft.
Yeah.
And then did the Orlando Magic make a mistake taking Paolo? And I didn't know. Do you want to talk about this first before I give my opinion? Because
Um,
I've said this
I
a
mean,
long time.
as someone who doesn't know it, I would say no, just because Paolo is getting LeBron comparisons. So it's like I feel like they kind of made the best pick that they had to make. I can see Paolo winning a championship for the Magic. That's just me though. But what do you think?
I think it's interesting because right now in time, I do think Chet Holmgren is the better of the two players, and I think a lot of people will look to being like, well, Chet is a number one option. It like anybody can be a number one option with like number one option usage. That doesn't mean you're going to win a championship as a number one option, but
Yeah,
like you could give like Cam Thomas for like the past couple seasons. Well, maybe Cam Johnson was this year, has been the number one option for the Nets. I like Cam Thomas. He was actually really impressive this year, like very good offensive player this season. I was
yeah,
very impressed. He's the number one option of the team. That doesn't mean like he's going to win a championship as the number one option. So
mm,
right now, I think like Chet's defensive impact and like what he brings offensively in terms of like making your offense more efficient, being a 7-footer who could shoot the ball like that and still
yeah,
score very effectively inside. I think currently he is the better player. Like I think if you ask the Thunder if you wanted to swap the two for this playoff run, they would say no because of the value that Chet brings.
for sure, for sure.
But in but I don't think the Magic would take their pick back because I think the archetype of player that Chet is more likely to be an effective primary initiator for a championship team than somebody like Chet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, because
Paolo could
he's a
handle the ball,
playmaker,
create
bro.
for himself, and you could see the vision of him being like you say LeBron, and like I do see a little bit of LeBron in his game in the way like he is able to get downhill. You would wish that he would like get downhill with like you would wish that he had like the aggressiveness of LeBron to get to the rim because I think that's like the one main drawback for Paolo is like man like you shoot like 35% on mid range shots. Like why do you keep like settling for these when you shoot like 71% at the rim? Like
Yeah,
and I know a lot of that is the spacing and they could just collapse the defense. So like completely understand. I think time will tell.
yeah,
But I don't think the Magic, like maybe now after the trade, if they really believe Franz could be the number one primary creator because he has been like better than Paolo the past couple of years. But I think Paolo like going into this season was on an upward trajectory, and I think the injury did like draw him back a little bit. But I was pretty impressed with like how he ended the year and how he played before the
dude.
injury.
Yeah,
So I don't think they would take the pick back. So like right now, I think Chet is the better player. I think the Magic would stick with their pick if you had given them the option to go back and redraft because I do think it's more likely that Paolo does become like a number one like primary option between
yeah,
the two, but I think it's more likely that Chet becomes the more impactful long term player because I think the road to seeing Paolo become the number one option is much more difficult than like Chet like just remaining who he is and like even getting better to that. Um, but I think it's a very interesting discussion because I think a lot of
yeah.
people
It's definitely like I understand those two are probably going to be compared to each other for the rest of their careers, kind of similarly to like Luca and Trey Young. Um, so it's going to be interesting because they're in two different positions where Chet is arguably at the start of what could be like an interesting dynasty, quote unquote. I'm not gonna put it out there yet because they have to do it, but he's in that position. Meanwhile, Paolo is kind of like creating his own,
yeah.
like he's trying to create his own thing, if that makes sense. So I it it's definitely interesting to see the comparisons between the two, and I think, like we said, like time will tell um between those two, and I'm excited to see them both. But lastly, I got the Embiid jersey on, bro. You
We
got the
both came with
Sixers,
that Sixers stuff on, bro.
so
That was
we
plan.
gotta talk about it, man. Um, for those who don't know, Ace Bailey has declined to work out with the Sixers.
No,
Obviously,
he is working out with them.
oh, I saw
He's
it.
he's coming on Thursday. That's what makes it really weird. He refused it first, but now he's willing to come on Thursday. John Clark reported it like right after the report where he's like he initially refused it.
Oh wow,
Like I don't know. That was so weird to me
So
because
okay, that's crazy because I only saw the one where he said it declined or
yeah,
where it said he declined, bro.
yeah, Gavoni from ESPN said that, and then he was like, he's declining to meet with teams. I'm like, wait, this is weird because last week
Yeah,
after like they said we had VJ in, they're like we're supposed to interview Ace. So I'm like, wait, that's weird because why is Gavoni now
yeah,
saying that he's declining? So I guess Ace had like declined, and then now is like willing to meet with us now that he knows he like can't go number two or something like that. Or like
mm,
I don't know, it's a weird situation, but um,
this is
I
crazy.
think.
You kind of broke some breaking news to me, bro. Like I didn't know he eventually was like, I'm gonna work out with y'all. That's crazy.
His interview is gonna be weird because like I genuinely don't even know what to believe because like this whole time
Yeah,
like based on like Ace's quotes and stuff, and obviously I don't know Ace as a person, like it has seemed like that is what he wants, like to be the superstar, like and have that high usage role right away. Like he went to Rutgers and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he went to a public school back in Atlanta at McGeechern. So it's like the whole time, like yeah, it has seemed like he wanted the ball in his hands, wanted the spotlight. So like the report kind of made sense to me.
yeah,
But it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess like at his meeting on Thursday, like the Sixers will be able to gauge whether or not he'll like want to buy into like a lower role. And I
yeah,
think it's interesting because he says he looked up to Paul George. Paul George didn't come in with this high usage. Paul George kind of came in as like he was like a later lottery pick, I
yeah,
believe.
bro. He was like he was I think around like 10. I don't think he was 10, but he was around there.
Yeah, and then he
I'll
like
look it up. I got you.
and then like he like forged his own path into becoming a star. Like Paul George
Yeah.
didn't come in as like the number one overall
Oh,
pick.
he was the 10th overall pick in
Overall, yeah, exactly.
2010 draft.
Yeah, he didn't come in as like some high usage rookie. He came in as like a pick and like kind of started as a role player and then like had
Yeah,
a trajectory. So I don't know. I like if I'm being honest, I like Ace as a player. He was a really fun watch at Rutgers this year. I'm rooting for him. He seems like a really charismatic guy. Like I hope he has a great career. In my opinion, as somebody that doesn't know him, but like has a solid understanding of basketball at this point, I do think coming into a structured setting is important for him because it
I
seems
feel
like he hasn't really had structure yet, and it seems like his biggest problem is like playing within structure and like being a team player. So I don't know, like
yeah,
maybe he's getting bad advice from the people around him. Maybe I'm dead wrong. And he goes to the Washington Wizards at pick number 6, and he is like some efficient shot creator out of the gate, which it doesn't seem like he would be with his shot diet and his inability to get to the rim.
yeah.
Um, but I don't know. He definitely has a lot of like very valuable traits. But I'm sort of selling myself on VJ Edgecombe right now. It's funny because during the college season, like
I get it, bro. I get it.
I heard about VJ for the first time, and my roommate he really follows college basketball, so I talk about that a lot with him. I'm like, bro, why is this guy projected to go top 5 in the draft? They're saying he's an off-ball guard that shoots 29% from three, and then
Yeah,
from that point on, I think he shot like 37 or like higher percent from three for the rest of the year. To end up being a good shooter. So like he just proved me wrong. Like it's like when he adjusted. So I don't know. Like I think it really just comes down to the interview process. I think that's a super underrated part of it. And I think like as hard as it is to say, because we've seen our organization make a lot of mistakes, like I think I just gotta trust them to interview and like pick the best person who they think is going to develop and like fill the role the best. Because I think that's what's going to come down to, both for ridiculously skilled players.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely like it's hard to gauge for real. 'Cause this is this is what being a Sixers fan is, bro. We don't know what's going on, bro. We're just here for vibes at this
Does
point.
it scare you that he like refuse like maybe refuse to
Um,
work out at first? Because that scares me.
honestly, it doesn't scare me because I feel like we've been through so much. At this point, it's like, all right, whoever wants to play for the Sixers, whoever wants to contribute to whatever we got going on, whoever wants to embrace us, like I'm cool with that. And it's weird to kind of be in that type of mind state now because I'm so like, pro Sixers, I'm trying to see them win the championship. But I think at the same time, I can also acknowledge that like, you know, we've been through so much that it's just at this point, look, I'm cool with the right selection at this point. Um, Not to say like I don't dislike Ace Bailey or VJ. I'll say once I saw that report initially, I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna get VJ. I gotta embrace that. Sorry, it's like a fly flying around me.
You good?
But like, yeah, it's weird, bro. Like, cause I don't feel any fear. I just feel kind of like this is the same thing that we've gone through, just Ace Bailey edition or VJ Edgecombe edition. You know what I mean? Um, So like, we'll see what's going on, bro. Like, I feel like I want to say I feel like we know who we're gonna decide or who we're gonna select with the draft. Um, but like I said, like when when we're thinking like, oh, okay, the third overall selection might not want to play for us, but now he's saying he is, it's like it's a weird feeling, bro.
It
It's
is weird.
weird. It's weird, bro. But we don't have a lot of time left, so I don't know if you want to get some more thoughts off. Um,
Only thing I had left, I made a tweet
yeah,
about today.
so
It's weird to me we haven't heard anything about bringing in Trey Johnson or Con Knuppel
you
because
too,
I think
you
those two
too.
guys should be considered for the third overall pick. I think I don't know, like I don't know if you know Ball don't stop on Twitter. Like all he talks about is like bag and stuff and like visual aesthetics of the game. Like I turned
Yeah,
into him when I watched Trey Johnson play. He's like an incredible player.
I like them, bro. Because honestly, I feel like I'm never gonna turn down a guy who can shoot. You
Yeah,
know?
and he's like both of them are electric shooters. I would
Yeah,
like bring them both in. I'm sure they will at some point. I'm just surprised we haven't heard anything about it.
yeah,
I still think VJ's probably the pick if we stay and pick there, but like no reason to not bring both of them in. Like Trey Johnson, everything I've heard is he's an insane worker, which is the same thing I heard with VJ. So
yeah,
like I'm just surprised we only hearing about those two when they're like more skilled guys who would be a fine selection at the third overall pick.
yeah. No, I get that, bro. Again, we want to appreciate everybody that's been supporting us. Love the game. We're trying to establish our own thing. And we appreciate everybody who's been showing love, commenting, liking, subscribing, following, whatever you found us on. We appreciate y'all for showing us love. Cole, you got anything you want to say to everybody before we dip?
No, I just appreciate the support I've been getting, especially from like the people around me, because they've been telling me like they were tuning in and stuff, and that really makes me feel good. I'm not gonna lie, like seeing like the people that I care about like support me. So
Yeah,
I
bro.
just
Yeah.
appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yeah. And to piggyback off you, I didn't mention the homies, so shout out the homies for sure tapping in and keeping us sorry, there's an ambulance in the back. I don't know if you can hear that.
I can't. You're good.
Oh, okay. Shout out Zoom. Okay. But yeah, shout out the homies for pushing us, man, and allowing us to keep this going, man. So again, we want to thank everybody. Appreciate y'all, man. Love the game. Like, subscribe, comment. We out there. So yeah.